Hello everyone, welcome to KK4Z. My name is Scott, and today I continue to look at the FTX1 compared to the IC705. And this morning I was going to go out and do an activation today, but the weather didn't look so good. And so I stayed home and I did some hunting with the FTX1. I have a goal of making 5 CW contacts a day, and I did it with the FTX1. 5 watts. I made my contacts. I did 5 POTA contacts, which was good. But I wanted to show you some of the differences between the 705 and the FTX1. And one that's a real bother for me is using the transmit and receive offset. ICOM kind of calls it RIT. Yaesu calls it the clarifier. And they are both very different in how they operate, and I prefer the ICOM, and I'll show you why real quick. Here's the button for the receiver change and transmitter change. If I push it, okay, that comes up there and it shows me that I have a receive transmit of plus 0.02 hertz, or actually that's 20 hertz. To change it to receive, I push and hold and it goes to RIT. I push and hold, and then it keeps that. So if I go off and then I go back on, it shows transmit. I can also change my dial. All right. So hang on to that thought. Going over to the Yaesu, to hit the clarifier, I have to hit it twice. Okay, and I've got about 20 hertz in there. But now, you see this is now turned red. Now, when I have the clarifier engaged, I am changing the clarifier and not the frequency. In order for me to go back in and change the frequency, I have to hit this twice, and now I can change the frequency. Whereas with the ICOM, I can leave the transmit in, and I can just go back and forth. If I want to kick this back in again, 2 more button pushes, and then 2 more to get out of it. So obviously I like this better. The other thing is, because the waterfall is not averaging, to change it, I have to go in here, and then I have to go to level. And now when I back out, now I can adjust the level. Okay, so that's kind of okay. However, like when I'm hunting or when I'm doing CW, I try to match the person's CW speed. So now in order for me to change the CW speed, I have to go back in here. And now I have to go over 1 and then hit CW speed and then back out of it. And then now I can change the speed up and down. So it's a little bit more of a pain. With the ICOM, all I have to do is push. What did I do here? There. And I can just change it. I can change, and then I can change the pitches right there, the power's right there. Boom, boom, boom. Mainly this is what I work with when I am working. So it's just a tap. I can change it and then back out. The waterfall on the ICOM is averaging, so I don't have to mess with getting it right, so to speak. And then the third thing I want to talk about is the audio. today I was listening to the audio on this, and I had trouble hearing. Now, I'm slightly hearing impaired, so this may not apply to everybody, but I find on the Yaesu, for CW, maybe not for voice, but for CW, I find it harder to understand the CW on the Yaesu versus the ICOM when I'm not using headphones. And I had a station dialed in, and I want to see if it's still there, and maybe I can do an A/B comparison for you. Well, we'll just find another one here. Here we go. That's too much. There's one, right? Okay, so you can hear that. Now the ICOM sounds a lot more clear than the Yaesu. Let me switch it back. Now we're back over to the ICOM. The ICOM, to me, sounds a lot clearer with the CW than it does. And again, everything's about the same. I think they're both set at about 500 hertz filters. But I noticed that early on that the ICOM for CW sounds a lot clearer. And it may be all this port design and the volume and everything. This may be more geared to voice communications, which is a different frequency range. And maybe with the voice, the high fidelity, we'll call it, maybe that's the point that Yaesu wanted to bring across. But when it comes to CW, in my ears, I prefer this way over this. With this, I started this morning when I started my hunting, I had it just running here, and even with my face about 4 or 6 inches away, I had trouble copying the code on this, whereas when I switched over to the Yaesu, it just seems a little more muffled, and that may be the inherent design of what Yaesu tried to accomplish, which may not have been strictly CW. When I put the headphones on, it's okay, but you can still hear there's clicking, which is the same problem they had on the 710. It's not as bad, but you can hear like a clicking in here, whereas the 705 is pretty clean. So a quick video just to kind of show you some of the things I'm finding. Your mileage may vary. Like again, my ears are not your ears. I have high-pitched hearing loss for many years in aviation and industrial mechanics and electrical work, and I have to wear hearing aids right now. They're in the shop getting repaired, but I don't hear as well, and I hear a little bit differently than most people. So take it from that point of view, that for me anyhow, the ICOM wins when it comes to hearing CW. So that's it. Everybody take care. Again, lots of comments with these last couple of videos I did. Excellent. I really appreciate you guys coming forward and making the videos, making the comments. You all are being civil. Great job. I appreciate you visiting both my blog, kk4z.com, and my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. And it helps me to carry on and do more stuff. So that's all I got for today. Everybody take care. 73s, God bless. This is Scott, KK4Z.